Hey, can we give it up for Sierra? What's up, Takeover? It's good to see you. Thank you. Thanks, man. It's a fit. Thanks, bro. Thanks, man. Thanks so much for having me. My name is Drew. If you don't know who I am, that's right. And actually, it's interesting, Sierra, she just sang one of the most beautiful songs that really comes from Demi Lovato, if anyone's a Demi fan in the house. And Demi, she talks really about how she feels like she's struggling and she's hurting. And today, we're actually going to talk about something that's really serious and something that's maybe below the surface, and maybe for you, it's something that you've never really gone here before. And we're talking about our emotions. Breakaway for the next couple weeks after Takeover is going to really talk about emotions because all of us have them. It's very important for us to process them, and I figured I'd invite you into a little bit of my story. Now, when I was 14 years old, I was a freshman in high school, and I was in a room kind of like this, and there was a guy on stage speaking just like I am now, and he's inviting people to follow Jesus, kind of the way that Thaddeus was saying. And Jesus, the reason why I chose to follow Jesus is because, well, if you can predict and pull off your own death and resurrection, I'm just going to trust whatever you say. So I made that decision. And there was some guy on stage, and he was talking a lot like this. And he was really intense. And then he'd just come down and move you with a whisper. And he'd say, if anyone in here today wants to give your life to Jesus, I want you to stand up and say, I want the cross. And he'd get down and he'd just go on his knee and just wait for people. And of course, everyone's like, I want the cross, you know? And I'm feeling inside, I'm like, oh man, I gotta do this right now. I gotta give my life to Christ because I feel like this is what I need to do. And sure enough, I built up that courage and I stood up and I was like, I want the cross. Literally, I have an identical twin brother. He stood up at the exact same time and said, I want the cross. I was like, I can't even have my own salvation right now, all right? Used to sharing. But just before that, when I was 10 years old, my parents, I began to hear them fight a lot. There's a lot of yelling, there's a lot of screaming, and it wasn't just for 1 week. It became 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks, my parents would yell, scream, and I'd hear it down the hallway. To the point where my brother, because we were 10 years old, it was at this point where he just began to cry. And my parents came in the room, and they were trying to comfort us, and that's when they told us that they were going to get a divorce, and they were going to split up. And in that moment, both of my parents, as they were talking to us, the only thing I wanted to hear was, no matter what, your father and I will always love, and I wanted them to say each other. And they never said it because there was a lot of hatred. And instead they said, we'll always love you. And it was in this time of my life where I began to experience a lot of emotions that I had no clue what to do with. And in fact, I never really talked about them, nor did I express them. And I had friends at school, when I was in middle school, kind of like you, where we pretended to be cool. Like it was not cool to laugh at jokes. So you just kind of had to sit there like this and be cool. And my friends would make fun of my twin brother and I, and they'd call us Daniel's A and Daniel's B, depending on who they liked better, right? And so this is the kind of environment. It was like, we don't really talk about things that matter. And then my mom decided, because our parents split up, my mom decided that she wanted to take us to see a friend. Well, guess that friend was called a counselor and had a PhD, and I'm over here now talking to a shrink as an 11-year-old boy, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. So this shrink is talking to us for an entire hour, asking us questions, and we're not answering. So for the whole hour, me, my brother, and my sister did not say one word, and we left without saying a single word because we had absolutely no idea how to process what we felt. And so today, I want to talk about our emotions because all of us have them. All of us feel very deeply about things that happen in your life. Maybe for you, at your home, around your parents, you feel like there's so much anxiety in your heart because they're absolutely unpredictable and you don't know what type of reaction they're going to have. Maybe for you, in middle school and at your school, you always feel like you're the friend who's left out or not included. Maybe even tonight, you kind of came alone and you don't know how to feel. For me, when I was in middle school, I didn't know how to walk in the cafeteria without overanalyzing it. Anybody do this? You're kind of like walking and you're just like, how do I look? Like you're just kind of like, yes, you feel me, my homie over here. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I know, you got me, I feel you, thank you, much love. Is that all of us, we have these emotions, right? That we don't really know how to process. And the truth is, and I want you to listen to this. The truth is that we keep our emotions in secret. We keep them hidden. And the truth is, we are only as sick as our secrets. Now, when I say sick, I'm not talking about throwing up like Thaddeus did in the trash can. I oop. I am talking about how in our hearts we can become unwell. And no one can tell if you're unwell if you don't open up your mouth to tell them how you're doing. Now, the difference of sharing our emotions versus not, I brought this little example, is the difference between a swamp and a stream. Now, a swamp, it will collect water and it will have bacteria and it gets disgusting. Or what I call Shrek water, you feel me? And then a stream, water just gently passes through. In fact, the faster the stream, the more drinkable the water. And so I brought the two. And this is what it's like when we do not share our emotions. We got Shrek water, y'all. Here's why. It's because when we experience emotions, we're collecting all these emotions and they have no outlet because we're not telling anybody about them. Unlike the stream. And what begins to happen is, should I drink it? Okay. And what happens? Oh my gosh. No. This is literally, okay, this is literally dirt from the parking lot. Here we go. I see you, Kobe, my man. Here we go. Oh! Hold! Look! I got some sticks in my mouth. Oh! So here. All right, bring it back in. Bring it back in. What happens is if we have all these unprocessed emotions like anxiety, sadness, we kind of collect it. And then inside of us, whenever we drink it, we just tend to react. We don't control our reaction. We just simply react. Whereas a stream, because our emotions pass through us, it's life. And it actually brings life to our soul when we drink it. Fine, jeez. Thank you, I was thirsty. Thank you. And so I want to tell you a story. Do you guys want to hear a story? I'm going to tell you a story about a man named Elijah. And Elijah, he was a baller. He was a shot caller. Elijah, he had a really close relationship with God. And there's this king, and this king's name was Ahab, and he was really mad at Elijah because Elijah perfectly predicted that no rain would fall on the land. So this king named Ahab brought 350 Goonies to meet Elijah and say, yo, we're gonna have a match, our God versus your God. And all these 300 prophets of this false God began to cry out to their God, and nothing happened. But then, Elijah cries out to God, the God of the universe, and immediately fire comes down and consumes an offering. And everyone's like, yo, they're like doing this thing. I always want to do this like on a bench. Like, no, keep them back, hold them back. And so this king gets mad, and he goes back to this woman named Jezebel. Say Jezebel. Ooh, Jezebel was not happy. In fact, she said this. Let's bring up that first verse. She said, when Ahab got home, he told Jezebel everything that Elijah had done, including the way he had killed all these prophets, because they were killed. Not a big deal. Next verse. So Jezebel sent this message to Elijah, may the gods strike me and even kill me if by this time tomorrow I have not killed you, just as you killed them. Meaning this chick, Jezebel says, I am going to kill you, Elijah, because you have killed my people. And this is Elijah's response. Elijah was afraid. And he fled for his life. He went to Beersheba, a town in Judah, and he left a servant there. Next verse, verse 4. And it says, and then he went on alone into the wilderness, traveling all day. He sat under a solitary broom tree. The broom that Jared had that stood up, it was that type of tree. Kidding. And prayed that he might die. Then Elijah, who had just seen God make fire appear from heaven, now was afraid for his life and hiding underneath a tree, asking God that he might die. And there are two things that I want to observe from this passage. The first is that number one, you can have success and still feel depressed. You can have success and still feel depressed, right? You can have some of the coolest friends and still feel anxiety inside. You could have the best grades and still be worrying about them, right? You could go viral on social media and still worry about how you look. Now, I downloaded this app. I don't know if you heard it. It's called TikTok. Has anybody heard of TikTok before? Who's your favorite? We doing some renegades? Who? So Charlie D'Amelio, she got the hype right now. All right, do you want to know who my favorite TikToker is? Okay, shh. Listen up. Ready? My favorite TikToker, I'm not gonna lie, he's my dude. I love me some Lil Huddy. The reason why, hey, chill. The reason why is I don't have a reason, I just love him. But my wife, she calls me Big Huddy now, not Lil. Okay. And so, when it comes to TikTok, it's the weirdest thing. In fact, I wanted to have a little bit of fun right now. You want some fun? Okay, here we go. Right takeover. Here we go. We gotta reverse it here. Flip. Here we go. It's crazy that on TikTok you can just make a video and it's gonna get likes. Help us out. Boom. There it is. You'll have to find that one later. So bring it back in. But have you ever noticed on TikTok, when you examine someone else's success, it can still make you feel depressed? That sometimes when you view other people having success, it can make you feel depressed. And in fact, Elijah, he just had some of the greatest success. Is that Elijah, he just saw God do a miracle. And this is what I want you to know. It is absolutely normal for you to have a great moment with God and then still feel sad and not fully happy after. That you can have a great moment with God. You can leave Takeover and feel closer to Jesus. You can leave Breakaway, feel closer to Jesus, and still not feel fully happy, just like Elijah. Which leads to my second point. The number two, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. In fact, some of us in here, and I'm gonna get very real right now, very serious, is that some of us, and we've already begun to feel this, some of us struggle with anxiety, some of us struggle with depression already. And if I'm honest, a lot of times when it comes to our faith in Jesus, we kind of feel this sense of shame, like we need to be happy because that's what Christians do. But I'm here to tell you that sickness is not a sin. You do not it's okay to not be okay. It's okay that if your home life is falling apart or your friends aren't including you, if you're struggling with wanting to text back from the guy or the girl here at Takeover, it's okay to not be okay. But it's important to try our best not to stay that way. In fact, Elijah, he was reached out to by an angel. And it says this in verse 5 and 6. Then Elijah, he lay down and slept under the broom tree. But as he was sleeping, an angel touched him and told him, "Get up and eat." And he looked around, and there beside his head was some bread baked on hot stones and a jar of water. So he ate and drank and lied down. Next verse, it says, then the angel of the Lord came again and touched him and said, hey, get out of bed. You're gonna miss the bus. Get up and eat some more, or the journey ahead will be too much for you. It's that Elijah, sometimes when you're feeling sad or sadness, it's biblical to take a nap. You feel me? Sometimes when you're in a bad mood, sometimes y'all just need to eat some food, right? It's biblical. Anybody love those Tostino's pizza rolls? You feel me? Okay. All right. Oh. But ultimately, Elijah was faced with a decision. Elijah had to make a decision to get up from sleep. And here's the difference, and this is the one thing that I want you to know more than anything else today. Ready? Is that emotions are something that we feel, but faith is something that we choose. It's a choice to get up from our sadness. It is a choice to do the next right thing. I talked to somebody one time and I said, he gave this example. He said, have you ever gotten up and you're in the middle of school and you're sitting there and you're like, I am so tired and sad right now. And then you go, why am I tired and sad? Well, you know what? I'm really hungry right now and I didn't eat breakfast. And then you go, well, why didn't I eat breakfast? Oh, it's because I stayed up last night, but Fortnite's dead, so we can't, you didn't probably play that. But I stayed up late. Why did I stay up late last night? Oh, it's because I procrastinated on my homework. Well, why did I do that? Well, because I'm irresponsible and I can't do anything. Well, why am I irresponsible? Because my parents, And you get into this cycle of asking yourself why you can't do anything. You wanna know the truth? Sometimes you just gotta eat breakfast. You can ask yourselves, why? Why am I feeling so sad? And it's important to understand exactly what is happening, but it's important to do the next right thing. Some of y'all need to be like Anna from Frozen 2. Do the next best thing. In the movie, Anna's separated from her sister and she's alone and she has to do the next, what? Oh, spoilers, sorry. My bad, guys, whoa. Jeez. And so Elijah, he gets up from his nap. Elijah chooses to get up and he makes a journey. And in the journey, he meets God. And as he's praying to God, God finds him and it says this. Then the word of the Lord came to him. So Elijah, what are you doing here? And he's like, I've been working my heart out for the Lord, said Elijah. Next verse. He says, the people of Israel have abandoned your covenant, destroyed the places of worship, and murdered your prophets. And this is what he says, and maybe how you feel. I'm the only one. I'm the only one left, and now they're trying to kill me too. And God says, I want you to go out into the cliff, and I want you to wait for me. And there, God sends wind, but God wasn't in the wind. Then God sends fire, and God wasn't in the fire. Then God sends an earthquake, and God was not in the earthquake. And then something like a still small whisper appeared. And when the whisper appeared, Elijah knew that it was the voice of God. For some of you in here today, I don't believe that God is trying to speak to you in huge supernatural ways, but rather it could be in the whisper. It could be in the way that your mind thinks, and it could just be in the way that your soul is interpreting. So here's my question, and this is what I want you to answer. How are you?
I'm amazing. I'm great. How are you?
How are you doing? So, listen up. Listen up. When I decided to give my life to Christ after my parents got divorced, I overreacted and I let that event affect all of my high school years. I decided instead of rebelling and doing whatever I wanted, I was going to live the perfect life. And I wasn't gonna drink alcohol. I wasn't gonna get with girls. I wasn't gonna do the party scene because for me, I wanted to be so good that I would feel love and I'd feel connection. And so I tried to live this perfect life. And really, it wasn't about getting a perfect life. It was about wanting to experience and feel love that I missed out on because I felt like I had experienced a great disconnection from my parents the moment that all that happened. And so for some of you actually have had this happen in your home where your parents actually split up, and I'm so sorry. And others of you are dealing with really intense feelings of sadness that you don't know where it's coming from and you can't explain it. And others of you are constantly feeling rejected by your friends and not included. And some of you are ashamed of the way that you even look. And that's beginning to start right now. And I'm gonna be honest about that. And so what I want for you to do is I want you to actually be like Elijah and tell God exactly how you feel. And there's three things that I'm gonna ask. Number one, as I'm gonna pray. And when I pray, I'm gonna ask that this room decides to be completely silent. And then when it's silent, in your heart, I want you to tell God how you feel. And after that, while everyone's eyes are closed, I'm gonna ask you to raise your hand if you feel like you want to talk to a leader about something that's happening in your life because you know how you feel and there's something that you want them to talk to you about in your life. So before we do that, I want everyone just to close their eyes. I'm gonna ask for the room to be completely silent. I'm gonna pray. Father, we thank you for this room. We thank you for the fun. I'm thankful for the joy that's in this room and the excitement. And God, we know that you care about what we feel and are going through. And so right now, in your seat, to yourself, I want you to tell God about what you feel in your emotions. Just take a moment. And then just still with your eyes closed, with all eyes closed and heads down. And if you are a leader in the room, I want you to stand up really quick if you're a leader. Everyone eyes closed still, thank you, eyes closed. And leaders, if you can kind of look over the room. If you feel like there's something tonight you want to talk to a leader about, or you feel like you're not okay just in general, I want you to raise your hand, like there's something going on in your life. Just go ahead, raise your hand. If you're a leader, just look around, see who needs a conversation, maybe during worship or some point tonight. Just take a look, make sure if there's something, and again, there's still time if you're a student in the room and you're afraid to raise your hand. It's okay, that's so normal. I would be too, I'd feel like it's weird, but maybe put your hand up and just begin to take, if you're a leader, just keep your eyes open. Wonderful. God, we thank you so much for this room and these students. God, I just invite that your presence would be here. And that for people who are not feeling okay, God, that you would send your comforting arms around them. In your name, we pray. Amen. Would everyone go ahead and stand with us as we go to sing.